Australia was discovered in 1770 by Captain James Cook. It was already inhabited by native people called Aborigines. Australia was first used as a penal colony. It was a settlement for British prisoners. Before the arrival of the Europeans, the Aborigines were self-sufficient, semi-nomads. They constantly adapted the harsh environment by traveling to more abundant areas, whereas the Europeans had a totally different kind of culture. That caused a clash of cultures, and the relation between both sides, that were first in good terms, got worse. The Aborigines attempted a rebellion and were severely repressed by the Europeans. They were then forced to adopt a sedentary lifestyle. Thus, dispossessed of the freedom of movement and deprived of their traditional ways of life, they were unable to fully preserve their culture. The Europeans created settlements and reserves in order to wipe out the Aborigines' customs. At the beginning of the 20th century, the plight of the Aborigines reached its climax with the creation of several laws that tamed the assimilation and the protection of Aboriginal children. From then, the government could take those children away from their families and send them to settlements in order to educate them with European education. In removing the children, white people stole Aboriginal people's future. By breaking the cycle of life, they hoped to end Aboriginal culture within a short time and get rid of the Aboriginal problem. Between 1883 and 1969, more than 6,200 of children were stolen in New South Wales alone. Those children were called the Stolen Generation. They suffered terrible ordeals such as loneliness, low self-esteem, feeling of worthlessness, loss of identity, mistrusting everyone, difficulties to find their religious belief, internal guilt, depression, substance and alcohol abuse, and much more.
The families were devastated. They felt like they were growing up with ghosts, they were mad with grief, and had a permanent feeling of anger and injustice. Although those laws don't exist anymore, the Aboriginal people's situation in Australia is nowadays still appalling. They suffer racism and are more likely to be killed, raped, injured than any other Australian. They also still suffer from drug and alcohol problems. In 2008, Australia's Prime Minister Kevin Rudd delivered a speech to the Parliament. He addressed the speech to the stolen generations and acknowledged the immense mistreatment that they suffered. He apologized for the wrongs of the past and called for reconciliation between Indigenous and non-Indigenous Australians. By passing this motion, the Parliament committed itself to taking up the challenge of implementing effective policies for tackling the issues. Those policies took several forms, such as the creation of the Aboriginal Arts Board to preserve and promote Aboriginal art for the benefit of Aborigines, or government actions to reunite families that have been torn apart. This 26th of May, we will celebrate the Sorry Day in order to apologize for the terrible deeds and ordeals Aborigines had to go through the white domination. We call for you to be there and be a part of the reconciliation that will make this country a better place.